Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and the health of Danny Bonaduce. Some of you may have heard of Danny Bonaduce. He came out recently and stated that he's going to get some health issues diagnosed because he's trying to figure out what this is. Apparently, it's some mysterious health-related issue, and I guess he's nebulous and unclear regarding what the issue is, and now he's trying to figure out what it is, and he's taking time off from this is a radio show. I'm going to talk about some things I see in his chart, transits, what have you, and see how it might be tied into health-related issues and what they might actually be. And some natal placements as well that might give some clues on this. Now, the thing about when I look at his chart, well, the first thing I'm noticing is that the fact that his Mercury is retrograde, it tells me that he might take his time in actually revealing what he actually has when he does get a diagnosis. The thing though is he's got to be careful because transit Mercury is in voluble Gemini, and Gemini tends to be gossipy. His ascendant, ironically, is in Gemini as well, and he's somebody that I've heard him talk. He talks very fast. I heard he's very restless and can't sit still. He certainly embodies a lot of that Gemini rising personality and very vivacious, and so this is something for him, outwardly vivacious especially, and I'm sure this is something that may be bringing him down. And he has the sun in Leo, and I mean the sun in Leo is known to have exorbitant energy. That's definitely modified by his ascendant being in Gemini. He's got a little bit less vitality than typical sun. In Leo, he has his Uranus conjunct his sun in Leo, so that could give, it's an indicator of sometimes getting health issues that may be enigmatic or hard to perhaps hard to diagnose. Now, another thing, when I look on this chart as far as his health goes, okay, natally, he does have Scorpio on the cusp of the 6th house. And I mean, right there, that's an indicator that health issues may be mysterious, maybe a little bit confounding. I mean, well, that's more Pisces, but mysterious is Scorpio. And there can be health-related, there's a greater propensity for health-related issues that are connected with the colon, the prostate, and the bladder. And he has one of those, he has Jupiter in that 6th house as well, Jupiter in Scorpio. So Jupiter, as I've stated about in previous videos, can be paradoxical. It could be very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand. And in his case, it may very well have enlarged those issues. Possibly there may be something going on with the colon or prostate and the bladder. And Jupiter can have a connection with cancer because it's enlarged illness. Jupiter can enlarge matters, and he does have it in the 6th house, and appears to be making a loose in conjunct aspect to the ascendant. So that certainly doesn't help matters. He has the ruler. He has the moon in Sagittarius in his 6th house as well. I mean, moon in Sag may have some. Moon by itself in the 6th house can give certain, in some cases, some digestive issues. There may be a greater proclivity to worry, and especially the fact he has it in a mutable sign. It can be on a larger scale, perhaps due to the fact that it's in Sagittarius. But the thing is, another thing I noticed too, one of the rulers of his 6th house, which is Mars in Virgo, is in the 4th house of the end of life. So what's got me concerned is that I'm not necessarily this health-related issue with Danny Bonaduce, but if he has anything going on, maybe at a latter point in life that it's health-related, it could be tied in with the end of life. And, it could be an illness that's very debilitating, that that might result in the end of life. But what he's having, and then Mars being in Virgo, Mars in Virgo by itself can have physical related issues with the spleen or the pancreas or something intestinal. Um, Now, the thing that he's having right now, what I notice of transit, what's interesting, and I don't see this as a coincidence from an astrological vantage point, he has transit South Node in Scorpio, making a conjunction to that Jupiter in Scorpio. And this could be something where, I mean, the South Node, I believe, can affect what it contacts to its detriment. And the thing about this is, he has it in the 6th house of health, and it's hitting Jupiter and Scorpio. And as I stated before, Jupiter and Scorpio may manifest, it could be enlarged issues in some cases with the colon or the prostate or the bladder. And it may be in the fact that it's in Scorpio, perhaps that signifies it being mysterious as well. Um, and the thing about this too is, keep in mind, Jupiter, the planet by itself, is associated with the liver, the pancreas, the hips, sciatic nerve. There may be some issues going on with that, and having the moon in Sagittarius might reaffirm that as well. And some other transits that I noticed that he has is currently as Neptune in Pisces, making a what I believe is a loose square to his Gemini ascendant. In Pisces, Neptune, is a planet associated with diseases, and then having it in Pisces can be ones that are not readily diagnosed, that may be nebulous or unclear. They're ones that, when you have Pisces energy, is one, and sometimes it could indicate ones that can't be eradicated. He also has transit Pluto, making an inconjunct aspect to his Gemini ascendant, and inconjuncts in astrology can often manifest in health-related issues. He has transit Pluto in the 8th house of surgery. Pluto, again, like Scorpio, has the connection with the prostate, the colon, and the bladder. And, my prayers go out to Danny Bonaduce. He's probably never going to even see this video, but I am going to send it to him. I'll send it also to his family and close friends as well, in case one of them happens to see this video. I'm looking for some other things in his chart that might be, as far as any transits may be going, that could be an indicator of health-related issues he's going through. Another thing I noticed too, interestingly enough, he has Saturn natally. Saturn opposes his ascendant, and that can give, Saturn is in, he has it in Capricorn. So, those are just, could be chronic issues, with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, the gallbladder. And I'm just, looking at his chart in general. He has Neptune is in Scorpio. That's generational. That could be, by itself, though, could indicate a disease. Again, going to something that's mysterious, or something with the colon or the prostate or the bladder. And I get a feeling he may have some issue going on with one of those three things that I described. And I hope it's not that. I hope it's nothing really serious, and that this is something that he can get resolved sooner than later. On a positive note, when you have the transit of the South Node contacting a planet, though it can affect the nature of that planet to its detriment, at the same time, when it goes away from it, when it makes the separating conjunction, it could indicate some alleviation and going away from that energy. And it is, in that transit, I don't believe is that far away. The South Node in Scorpio is not far away from making the separating conjunction to his natal Jupiter in Scorpio. So there may be some good news on the way for Danny Bonaduce, and I hope so. And something I want to talk about, I'm going off, speaking of Gemini, going off on a Gemini moon tangent. Somebody had commented one time about Danny Bonaduce being, they were speculating that he's upset, he's not famous anymore. Well, I could tell you one thing. When I typed in Danny in the Google search box earlier today, he was like the fifth or sixth one that popped up on the drop down list. So he's still fairly famous and has certain notoriety and recognition. And I think a lot of us would only hope that we can be, if we're people that desire notoriety and fame, we're people, a lot of us would only hope to have anything comparable to Danny Bonaduce's fame. I mean, he gained certain acclaim and recognition when he was on the Partridge Family. He was on that some reality boxing shows, like a celebrity boxing show. I mean, and he's got the radio talk show going, so he still is very popular, and he wouldn't have even made it to the news. He was this quickly on what he stated if he didn't have certain fame. I went on Yahoo News today, and he's one of the top storylines on it. So I mean, yeah, and I do hope that this is something that's not overly serious. I think Danny Bonaduce might perceive it as such, because I don't think he would have taken this time out from what he was doing if he didn't think this was imminent. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, yeah, that's my catchphrase again. But the thing is, something else I'll point out in his chart, he's got a preponderance of planets on the bottom half of his chart. 9 of the 10 are on the bottom half. It tells me that he's really, even though he's got certain gregarious energy, the Sun in Leo and Gemini rising, his Moon is in Sag. He does like to have a lot of privacy in his life. He may be more introverted than extroverted, more so than we could actually realize. And the thing is, and the fact he's got Mercury retrograde, a lot of this tells me that he may be someone that may take some time in letting this information out. Whatever the diagnosis is, I got a feeling he will be diagnosed. There is something going on. He did he did state, or on the news it stated, that it was a mysterious health related issue. Interestingly enough, again, going on that the Gemini Moon tangent, I noticed that it's an A rating on Astro.com, his chart and his birth data with the late Gemini ascendant, and has got his MC at 3 degrees Pisces. It's very close to my North Node in Pisces. Interesting. I guess there was some destiny involved with me, bringing him out even a little bit more into the spotlight through, and being in Pisces through the metaphysical, which can include astrology. I mean, he doesn't, obviously I'm being a little flippant with that, but I think it did play a role in me bringing him out, in getting, bringing him out a little bit more in the spotlight through the metaphysical, again, which includes astrology. I know he really doesn't need me, though. I think Danny Bonaduce is famous enough, but you know what I'm saying. I'm being a little flippant with this, but really there's not much more for me to get at on this, and it just was interesting what came out today. And Danny Bonaduce was actually really kind of whimsical regarding the issue. He's very humorous and flippant himself. He can really express self-deprecating humor. He made some kind of photo today and a joke about himself and his health, and he said something, I don't remember his exact words, and you want to confer that online, people, but it was something to the effect, well, I'm just another cool old guy, with, or something. And he had a picture of himself, looked like he superimposed his face on a very, more diminutive body, as if he was becoming consumptive or something. I know Danny Bonaduce is a fairly robust dude, so to speak, very, strong. He's not, and he also, some of you may know, he was he's martial arts expert, my understanding. I believe he was trained actually under Chuck Norris. So it's not, he may be only like 5'7" in height, but that's 157 man you probably wouldn't want to meet in a dark alley by any means. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.